And Stephen Kramer of Blazor State fame. There, I've put you on the stream. I don't know if it'll stay there, but it's going to get covered up as soon as I open up any other window. This week we're going to talk about going through this Blazor workshop right here. And so the Blazor workshop is a workshop put together by Microsoft for learning how to use Blazor, which is Microsoft C# Razor running in the browser or the server using WebAssembly on the browser. And we are building this awesome blazing pizza shop. It shows here it's actually hosted out in Azure. I don't know if that's live right now, but there's a blazing pizza app 1.azurewebsites.net that might work. I have it running locally here, and this is what we've built previously. And so last week when we streamed, we're going to continue on through the workshop, and we're on step 5. So if you're joining us, check it out. Let's see. You know what? I totally didn't update the show notes. Let me do that real quick. Let's see. Alt tab. Too many things. Come over here. Let me go find Twitch. Because I just saw in my chat it says, hey, we're going to talk about doing Roslyn analyzers. I'm like, no, we're not. So let's get that taken care of. I have a checklist. I totally didn't go through my checklist before I hit start streaming. There we go. So creator dashboard. We go in here, and in here we can say, hey, we're going to talk about the Blazor workshop. I don't know. What are we doing? A walkthrough, I guess? Walkthrough day 2. Notification, science technology, audience, tabs, programming, and software development. And is that enough? We'll say web development. And that's probably good enough. Alright, so let's update that. Here we go. It's quiet. Almost too quiet. Speaking of quiet, can you guys on chat, why don't you just let me know you can hear me okay? I just like to verify that. Anybody?
Let me mute, and
I heard myself when I opened up Twitch for a minute, so I think we're good. Nicola Starzia, thank you for the follow. A few minutes late. Saw that come in right before I got started. Alright, so what do you think, Kramer? Can you hear everything?
I cannot.
Cannot.
I'm trying to listen to you on Twitch, but I don't.
Hey, test. Well, I thought I could hear myself on Twitch. Let me jump to Twitch again. Twitch.tv/Ardalis. It's always weird hearing myself. It's probably going to show myself an ad.
Couple second lag.
Oh yeah, show me an ad. Perfect. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're good on sound. Why is my chat not showing up on top? It's supposed to be.
I don't see anybody chatting in the chat. Is that working?
Yep, seems like it. Ooh, you've got a diamond by your name. You're a VIP.
Ooh.
Nice. Oh, we got people coming in. We got 5 people. Good. Yeah, I hear myself. So.
Yeah, it worked last time. I don't know why.
Video's not updating very well, but it's alright.
Yeah, it's a little choppy at the moment, but okay. Let's build this thing.
Yeah. Let me check one more thing. How's my... This is why it might be a little choppy at the moment.
What do you got running?
Twitch. OBS Studio.
OBS sucks the life out of everything, I know that, but...
apparently talking to you is occupying 15% of my CPU. Go Skype. And Dropbox, for whatever reason, is being a little bit heavy at the moment. Let's turn off Dropbox syncing.
Oh, you're uploading the video from our session still, maybe.
No, that can't be. That was a while ago, and my internet's super fast. But I don't know.
Or downloading it, I don't know, syncing something, right?
Anyway, OBS is the main culprit here, I think. It's weird. I'm sure if I stop streaming, this drops down to like 10%. But that's why I'm remoted into another machine to actually do the work, so that when I'm building, it doesn't stop it. All right. Anybody else on the chat have any feedback on the stream? Is it working all right? Can you hear us? See stuff? If I don't hear anything, I'm going to assume it's all awesome for everybody, so we can get started. So, all right, let's go in here. We did session 4. Quick recap. We had to refactor some of the state management. We used a shared service for that, and we injected it. So we created this order state service, and we added it as scoped. It could actually be a singleton because it's only going to run inside on the client inside a single user's browser. But you want to use scoped just for safety reasons, because if you run it on the server, you obviously only want to have one per different session. And you don't want this to just get confusing that some of these things could be shared. State for an individual user obviously is not something you want to share as a singleton. Alright, so the video is hurting. Thanks, Paulo. What can I do about that? Let me do a quick check on Task Manager again, see if I can kill anything. I'll kill Skype, and that'll kill Kramer. And Dropbox, that'll help. And Visual Studio. Oh, you know what? That .NET Watch that we were working on, that's still running. Oh, I should stop that.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be too heavy, but let's see. I don't need all those Chrome tabs. And I need OBS. I don't need Slack. That can go away. Slack sometimes chews up resources. And this, that was from this morning. That can die. And that's probably enough. Let's see.
Builder test sample, Visual Studio can go away too.
CPU's not pegged anymore, so I think Dropbox was one of the ones that was hammering it. But yeah, now we're high, but we're not that high, which means that we're not the bottleneck anymore. So as long as there's some cushion here, that means we should be all right. Paulo, how's the video now? Is it getting any better? Less choppy, hopefully. What I need to do is swap this machine with the one I'm remoted into. The one I'm remoted into over here, let's look at its task manager, just for comparison, right? Like this one over here on the right is my streaming machine, and this one over here on the left is my dev machine that I'm remoted into. And this one barely can stream, and it doesn't have a very good video card. And this one is just a beast, but I don't have everything installed on it to do streaming, so I haven't made the switch yet. But I think I probably will before next week, because this is not good. Alright. So enough of that. I do like this new computer. It's very good. Let's see. So we did order state, we injected it, we passed it where we needed to pass it. We update it when we make changes to the state by adding and removing orders and pizzas. So here's an example where we call order state.reset order. Instead of doing that work directly on the component, we're doing that through this order state service so that it gets reflected on different tabs and in different components. Alright, so now we're going to go to checkout without validation. Let's read this real quick. If you take a look at the order class, you notice that it has a delivery address property, but nothing in the pizza ordering flow populates that data, so all your orders have a blank delivery address. Let's fix this by adding a checkout screen. We're going to insert checkout into the flow by adding a new page component called checkout.razor with an at page directive of /checkout. And then we're going to, for the initial markup, let's display the details of the order using the order review component. The order review component is right there. Alright, so I need a checkout.razor for /checkout with this markup. So we'll jump into Visual Studio, we'll go into our pages, we'll create a checkout.razor, which is razor view checkout.razor, put this in it, and at page/checkout, right? Now we're also going to have to di order state, it looks like. I'm guessing. So let's see.
Yep.
Can get that off of order details, maybe? Didn't we inject that somewhere else already? There's order state. I want to steal it from somewhere.
I don't know that we did. Yet.
Okay. I thought that was in section 4. It showed us doing
go
that.
Look at your go look at your startup. Did we actually register it with the container?
I found it. It's in index. So there we go. So we want that, I'm pretty sure. So we'll put that there. And it doesn't like this. Do I need to put that as a string? Probably.
I believe so.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
So it is in fact a string. And thanks for helping Visual Studio. All right. There's that. And we need this place order, which it's going to tell us to do now in a minute. So to implement place order, copy the method with that name from index.razor into checkout.razor. All right. So index.razor already has place order somewhere in at code. There we are. Copy that. Copy that. And we'll go into checkout, and we need an at code block like that. And we'll drop some code in there. All right. So now
should be happy.
It. There we go. Coolness. All right. To implement place order, copy that. Right. As usual, you'll need to inject values for this, this, and this. All right. Just like we did in index. So let me grab those other ones.
Right, your UI helper.
Everything.
Isn't there? Yeah.
Hey, thank you someone for subscribing. Where's my notification thingy? I heard the sound. I'm not subscribing, I guess following, it sounded like. Let's go over here and say, hey, Bobby Brackett's Betting has followed. Awesome. Appreciate it. Alright. Where was I? I know I did these things to copy from index.razor. We're going to put those in checkout.razor. Boom. Alright, save that. Alt-tab to that. Now, just so it compiled, just like you did in there. Okay, next, let's bring the customers here when they try to submit orders back in index.razor. Make sure you've deleted the place order method. You should have told me to cut it, not copy it then. And then change the order submission button. We could do the... where is it? Start by doing this. Copy the method. Okay, somebody pull request this. Cut the method, or move the method with that name. How about move? I would say move instead of copy the method from here to there. So if somebody wants to do a pull request on this file, this is your chance for fame. I'll paste it in the chat. Boom. There you go. You could be listed as one of the contributors with such luminaries as Paw and Cadwall. You know, your name could be here. Steve Sanderson. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And Ryan Nowak. So do that, right? Make that change for me. All right. So All right. I need to delete that thing that I was just talking about. So over in index, place order needs to die. So we're going to kill that. If I didn't delete that, what would happen? It's saying make sure, right? Make sure you've deleted this, and then change the order submission button to call/checkout, right? So we'll do that. But
it just wouldn't run, right?
Well, it's in both places. Then I want to see what happens if I don't remove it. Let's do that checkout thing. Yeah, I don't think it'll run. I think it'll just be dead code. But they're acting like it matters, and since they're acting like it matters, I want to know: does it really matter, or is it just cruft? Because like maybe it gets confused and doesn't know which one to call.
That can't be the case. It's compiled, right? It has to know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it gonna throw a compile error and say ambiguous reference? I don't think so. But all right, where's this thing go? Where's this checkout thing? Change the order submission button into a regular HTML link to checkout. Alright, so something was calling place order, which was this guy, and I think that just needs to be that regular link. Alright, so I'm pretty sure this will build. This place order here should just be dead code now.
Right.
How much does a website like this typically cost? That's really hard to say.
Is that a question on?
On the chat, Bobby Brackett's asked. If you were going to hire a developer to build you a site that does something like this, like this is totally just a... This is not working. A demo site that Microsoft done as a workshop. But if you wanted to build it for real, it would be a lot more involved, right? So because it's just a demo site, it doesn't have any like substantial security. It's not really hosted in a great way. It doesn't have continuous integration, a bunch of other things put in place. And then depending on what the person wants to charge, right, they could charge you more or less, right? You could hire a developer that costs, you know, $50 an hour. You could hire a developer that costs $500 an hour, or anywhere in between. And you know, who knows? You know, you don't always get what you pay for. Sometimes you do. So it's a really hard question. And I honestly can't give you a real answer. You know, if you're like Little Caesars or Papa John's and you're building your pizza website, you're probably spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on it because your whole business depends on that thing working. Right, exactly. It would vary a lot. If you're building a mom and pop's pizza shop down the street that currently just has a menu and your store hours and you want to add something like this to let them order pizzas on it, you might be able to hire a developer that, you know, just graduated from college and they can do it, you know, in a couple of months, let's say, and it might not cost all that much. But it wouldn't have all the features or you know, maybe the reliability that you know, papajohns.com might have, let's say. All right, why can't
Little Caesars
copy or it's Little better. Caesars? Yeah, definitely. Little Caesars.
I could give you a pretty good idea how much it took to build a Little Caesars site.
Do you know? Does anyone know who is like the biggest pizza company in the world? Like who's got the biggest market share or the make most sales per year? Any of them public companies where you'd have that access to that data? Is Little Caesars public?
Not public, but we know which spot we are set in the on the overall. I think we're like third largest in the U.S. Let's see, Pizza Hut and Domino's.
Oh yeah, Domino's is huge too. Pizza Hut's the biggest? I guess because they have stores. Having a bunch of stores really has to help, obviously. All right, let's see if this will run now.
Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesars. There you go.
All right, so Papa John's isn't even the top 3. Okay.
Papa John's number 4.
All right. There, it works. Great. So we are going to delete this because we should, because it's not being used anymore, but it doesn't actually break anything. So that's fine. All right. Let's see now. Where are we? Back to here. Back to there. Now, when you run the app, you should be able to reach the checkout page by clicking on the order button. Yeah. And from there, you can place order. Right. We could do that before. So go here, go there. Place order.
But we've organized it a little bit better, right. And put the methods where they belong.
Yep. All right, so now we want to capture the delivery address. We now have a good place to put some UI for entering a delivery address. Which session are we up to right now? We are right here on number 5. Checkout with validation.
Yep.
Welcome, SMAB UK. All right. We're going to create a new component because components are awesome. And we're going to put it in the shared folder, address editor.razor, we're going to call it. And we're going to put in some stuff in there to let us edit an address. So it's going to get a
so
parameter.
We get some form validation.
Yep. Hey, this thing still says functions. If only there were a pull request out there that's going to turn that to code. Oh wait, there is. Yeah, don't do that pull request because that's already happened. It's just not accepted yet. Okay, so address editor.razor. Let's do this. So we're coming here. We're going to add new item. It's going to be a Razor view. Could be a Razor component, couldn't it? I guess not. No, I guess not. Address editor. I like the icon for Razor though. I was going to try and get that into my tweet that I just made for saying I was going live, but I was rushed. I only had a couple minutes. Add address editor. Delete all that. Now this thing is going to get a parameter in a code block. And remember, the parameter attribute here means that we can pass it an address from the code that calls this. So when we reference this, it has to be lowercase apparently.
Yes.
I don't know why it was uppercase. Name code does not exist. I need to make this an app page. Now you're gonna be happy?
You've got a CSHTML, make it a .razor.
It shouldn't be app page. Oh, I didn't do that, did I? Oh, thank you. Yeah, the helper doesn't yet give it the right file extension, so you have to remember to change it every time. Now you're gonna be happy?
He should be once he figures out.
Yeah, Visual Studio will sort it out in a minute. Alright. The markup's going to be a bit tedious, so you probably want to copy paste this. We'll need input elements for all the different parts of an address. I think I will copy and paste that. So we'll grab all that. We'll leave that bit out because I already have it. And we'll stick it up above here. Boom. And we have a bunch of binds. This is Razor syntax, new for Blazor, that will bind to this object. It's two-way binding, so whatever they put in here will get set, and if it gets changed somewhere else, it'll get reflected in the UI. This all looks good, except that it's all red and squiggly, so...
Save the page, close it, and reopen it.
There you go. It's Windows. If you're not sure, restart it.
Well, I think because you started the page as a CSHTML,
right.
It never picked up on the file change.
Yeah. Once it's loaded, it thinks it's a view, and it's going to keep thinking it's a view.
Yeah.
All right, and that underscore disappeared. So eventually the designer caught up. Remember, this is still very preview bits for Visual Studio, so the fact that we have all of this editor experience working at all is still pretty nice. SmappyK says, I had a problem using the Razor component file. It's not UTF-8, and he ended up with character problems for the pound sign. Yeah, I could see that. And I've noticed some other people's demos that are using this particular app have, little boxes instead of pound signs when they're displayed. So it's not just you. All right. Finally, you can actually use your Addis editor inside the checkout Razor component. We're going to do this div right there. Leave that other div alone. So leave the checkout details. We're going to add a new checkout delivery address div to checkout here. I guess it goes here. Maybe?
It's above the button, was it?
I guess.
Yeah, I believe so.
Alright. So let's try it. I'm not sure we're supposed to try it yet, but it's alright. So go here, we'll order that, place the order, and that's not quite right. But it's there, right? So I didn't put it in quite the right place. I think it needs to go here.
Yeah, they want it inside the closing div and then checkout columns. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
All right. Now, if this were just server-side Razor, I could just refresh right now without rebuilding, but it's not. So I have to rebuild because it has to actually take that assembly.
Yeah, they're working on that though. That's gonna be coming where they can just basically rebuild behind the scene and push it for you.
Yeah, it'll get
like
better.
a watch.
It'll get better. My pound signs are working just fine, so that's good. All right. That's good to go. Back to our instructions. Now you have a delivery address. Great. If you submit an order now, any address data you entered will actually be saved in the database with the order, because it's all part of the order object that gets sent to the server. If you're really keen to verify that pizza data gets saved, consider downloading a tool such as DB Browser for SQLite to inspect the contents of your file, but you don't need to do this. We can't talk to it through Visual Studio? I thought I could open that through Visual Studio SQL data connection. Can't I?
Server up at the top left, Server Explorer, that thing?
Yeah, except there's a SQL version of that, SQL Server Object Explorer. SQL Server doesn't probably know about SQLite. That's probably the problem.
Yeah.
So there's probably an extension I could get for SQLite, or I could use that tool
I installed the browser. Yeah.
The thing they did.
Yeah, but I'm leaning back towards local DB instead of SQLite because of migrations and the lack thereof.
SQLite won't do them.
Well, it doesn't really use SQL for something that's named SQLite. It doesn't really do all that stuff. So yeah, we had that conversation the other day, right? And it doesn't do its migrations. It's not because of Entity Framework. It's just like, hey,
it just doesn't
support these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's too bad, because I was really strongly thinking about using that for my DDD ASP.NET Core workshop, and currently it uses EF Core heavily in migrations, but I probably could get away from that because it's pretty static. I mean, it's just a workshop. Using Mad's add file shift F2 works much better. All right, thanks SmavUK. I don't have that extension, I don't think.
I told you to install it last week.
I know you did. I don't want to.
But it does. It's nice.
All right. Fields blank and okay, everything can still be blank in order of pizza to be delivered nowhere. So when it comes to validation, it's normal to implement rules both on the server and the client. Client side is a courtesy, server side is required, because somebody could bypass that and just push whatever data without any of your validation running and still get bad data into your system.
Right.
As such, it's usually best to start by implementing the server-side validation so you know that you have that and it works, and then do whatever you're going to do on the client side. So if you go and look at orders controller, you'll see that this is decorated with the API controller attribute. And the API controller attribute adds various server-side conventions, including enforcement of data annotation validation rules. So all you need to do is put some data annotations rules onto your model classes. So let's go into address, which is in our shared project. This is one of the nicer things about Blazor, is that you don't have to have separate models for the client and the server. You've got a shared set of models that will run both client side and server side. And they will have these data annotations, and the data annotations, whatever they're specifying, will get validated both on the server and on the client. So down here in our shared project, this is where all our models are. We have address. You can see for now it does not have those annotations, and poof, now it does. So what are these checking for? These are going to say that these things are all required and that they all have some certain max length. For instance, the region, well, let's look at the postal code, is a max of 20. So that's one we should pretty easily be able to violate. Now if you recompile and run it, you should be able to observe the validation rules enforced on the server. If you try and submit an order with a blank delivery address, the server will reject it and you'll see an HP 400 bad request in the network tab. So let's try that out. We go here, Control F5, run the app. We're good. F12 for browser tools. Go to the network tab and let's add a pizza and order it and place the order with everything blank, and there's our 400. Now if we look at this, it should tell us one or more validation errors occurred, and it will say all the details of what they are. So this is pretty nice. If you are writing APIs, I strongly recommend you implement this API controller attribute on your API, and then do this type of decoration to specify what your API model should look like, because your clients will thank you, right? When things aren't quite right, they're going to get this very detailed set of errors telling them exactly what they need to change. So let's look at postal code. We can do add a postal code, place the order. Now, if we look at this, some errors have occurred, but postal code is no longer one of them. We know that this was going to get over 20 was a limit, so there's 5, 10, 15, 20, and one more. So we'll place the order one more time, and we should get a different error now for postal code. And now it's telling us the string array must be within a maximum length of 20, right? So you get pretty nice detailed error messages from this. And this is just model validation. It's been around in MVC for a while, but it's pretty easy to set up here, and we're going to see in a minute how you can run it on client and server. Alright, so we did that. Now we're down to here. Blazor has a comprehensive system for data entry forms and validation. We're going to apply the same rules on the client. Blazor's form is based around something called an edit context. I don't know what that is. An edit context tracks the state of an editing process, so it knows which fields have been modified, what data has been entered, and whether or not the fields are valid. Various built-in UI components hook into this, both to read its state and to write its state. Okay. We're going to use edit form. So we have edit form and we have edit context. One of the most important built-in UI components is the edit form. It renders as an HTML form tag, but also configures the edit context to track what's going on there. To use this, go to your checkout.razor component and wrap an edit context around everything in the main div. You said edit context, but I think you meant edit form. There's another pull request for you.
Yeah.
Alright, so we want to wrap an edit context Alright. Somebody claim that you're going to do that pull request in the next 10 seconds, or else I'm just going to do it. That should be an edit form. Alright, so go to checkout.razor. Anybody? You gonna dibs it? Come on, all you gotta do is say in the chat you're doing it. These people don't understand the value of adding pull requests to Microsoft repositories.
Yeah, why not?
I know, it's like you're gonna get to put that like on your resume.
Julie jumped all over it. She chucked a big one with 78 files. Her name's gonna be plastered everywhere.
That's right. Nobody? Alright. I'm gonna go do this work and then I'll come back to it. So let's see, we're going to go into checkout.razor, we're going to wrap this form around everything inside of the main div. Got it. So checkout.razor is here, main div is there. Let's just see what this looks like side by side. We're going to take this right there and put that right there, and we'll take the close right there and put it right, yeah, inside the main. Right there. That's easy enough. Alright, and then we'll get rid of this we don't need. And we're good. Done. Okay, nobody wants to do this pull request because it's so hard. Let me show you how hard it is. We're going to come up here and we're going to hit this pencil. And we're going to do a Control F and we're going to look for wrap and edit context. And it says it's not there. What? Okay, it's getting harder.
Harder than you thought. Yeah. It might be an import because this
no,
is
it's because it's got a backtick.
DocFX.
No, it's got a backtick. It's the backtick.
Oh, okay.
Wrap a backtick edit contest. There it is. We're going to wrap and edit form around the whole contents of the thing. And you scroll down here and you say fixed miss wording said edit context should have been edit form. Good enough. Propose. And then
pull request.
It's going to say, hey, you want to make a pull request? I'm going to say yes for that, and you're done. So it's like 4 button clicks and a little bit of typing, and you've got a pull request. Alright, so now let's get back to where we were and go here. Alright, did that. The one bad thing is that now I'm outside of my flow, so I've got to get back to where I was. But here we are. Alright, you can have multiple edit form components at once, but they cannot overlap because form elements can't overlap. By specifying a model, we're telling the internal... Where do we specify a model? Oh, right there.
In the edit form.
Alright.
Yep.
We're telling the internal edit context which object it should validate when the form is submitted, in this case, delivery address. Let's start by displaying validation messages in a very basic and ugly way. Inside the edit form, right at the bottom, add these 2 components. So these are built-in components that ship with Blazor, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Inside the edit form right at the bottom. Alright, that looks like there. Okay. The validator hooks into events on edit context and executes the rules. If you wanted to use a different validation system, you can swap in a data annotations validator for something else. Like maybe a Fluent validation validator or something, I don't know.
Yep, that's what I use.
Cool. The validation summary simply renders an HTML list containing any validation messages from the edit context. Right, it's not telling us to test this yet, so we'll keep going. If you ran your application now, you could still submit a blank form, and the server would still respond with a bad request. That's because your button isn't actually a submit button. So modify the button by adding type equals submit and removing its onClick attribute entirely. So now it will actually be a submit button. Next, instead of triggering place order directly from the button, you need to trigger it from the edit form. So the form action is going to be our place order instead of the button on click event. So it's a different event in the DOM that we're going to be hooking into. Add the following on valid submit attribute onto the edit form. Alright, so edit form has a model. Why is this model order state and the other one said address? That's weird. Like, we only have one form, don't we?
That delivery, yeah, we do only have one form. Well, let's go down there and see, because the delivery address is the form, and that other one looks like the whole page.
Yeah, I think at some point we're going to make this whole page a form, and they jumped the gun here, maybe? I don't know. Well, let's just do this bit. So we'll do this, and we'll do the type equals submit. So where's our button? Button, we're going to get rid of the onClick. We're going to add it here. We're not going to change our model just yet. On valid submit, place order. And this needs to be a submit. Type equals submit. Alright. We'll come back to this model thing. That might be another pull request waiting to happen. As you can probably guess, the button no longer triggers place order directly. Instead, the button just asks the form to be submitted. And when the form decides whether or not it's valid, and then if it is, and then if okay, then it will call place order. Try it out. You should no longer be able to submit an invalid form. You'll see validation messages, but you won't get bad requests. So let's do it. Let's close the old one. Let's run this. Add a thing, place the order, and place the order, and look at that. All the stuff's required.
And you can move those components around wherever you wanted inside that form as well. Those the validation.
Right, found
either one of those, and the summary.
Right.
Yeah, could have put above, right, wherever you want.
Yep, and the thing probably tells us to do that next because I'm pretty sure that doesn't stay down here. Alright, so you should see something like this, and of course they are unattractive messages, it says. Alright, so using validation message, we can put messages next to each item. It's going to look something like what you see down here. So, obviously it's pretty disgusting to display all the validation messages so far away from the text boxes. So it's good that someone's opinionated on the UX here. Let's move them to better places.
You just say pretty disgusting. They've updated this. I wonder who gets credit for that PR. You said they're looking for people to be more personable, so I guess, although it's a scary world to express any of your opinions these days, so I don't know how personal they want.
Well, as long as they're not like politics, religion, sex, etc. I mean, you know, UX is still fair game to,
disgusting
to have an opinion
UX, it's okay.
All right, so let's do a pull request for this since I want to fix it, and this is just bothering me that that's not consistent. So that order state.order should really be fixed up. So let's jump up here. Come on.
It should be.
It should be what it was before. It
should be the address one still at this point, because they never told you to change it.
Yeah, so it's just for consistency. That right there should be that. And yeah, okay. Change model to that to be consistent with prior instructions. Propose. Come on, GitHub. Create. Done. Done. Okay, now figure out where I was before. That's the hard part. I should really just open up a new tab when I do that. Using edit form, validation messages.
Validation message. That's where you are. Yep. Using validation messages.
Right here. So we're going to get rid of validation summary. We're going to switch over to address editor. We're going to add separate messages to each line on the form field. Alright, so in here, validation summary goes away. And then we jump to address editor. I got too many things open. Let's close everything to the right. There's another thing I can do? Or is that only in VS Code?
VS Code, you can do that. This one you can have to do pin or closed all but. Yeah.
That's annoying. There we go. That's a little better. Alright, so we're in address editor. We're going to go up to here. We're going to add this right with the name, and then we're going to just keep on doing that for each other one. So
then change the expression.
Yep, I'll get them all in a second because I want to keep my clipboard.
Yeah, the new Windows clipboard's nice though, right? You can do multiple. Finally.
Yeah, I have not used it, but I have heard that.
Oh, really? Yeah, so we just Windows paste instead of Control V. It's Windows V, and you can scroll through your past things on your clipboard.
So if I do Windows C and then Windows V, it doesn't do anything. And that's your clipboard is empty. No, it's not. Did I have to launch that? What's going on?
I don't know what version of Windows you're on, maybe.
There it goes.
There it is. See, I was gonna say should be there.
but how do I decide? Like, I want it to be line 1.
Scroll down. You can arrow up and down
I don't,
when you're over there.
I want to just paste it. I don't know. Like, I don't want to use my mouse. How do I do it without my mouse?
The keyboard, arrows up and down, can pick the one you want, hit enter.
Let me try this. Control V. Arrows are my whole other hand, though. Like, I'm using my left hand over here with Windows keys.
Whole other hand.
Well, it doesn't help for me not to have to use the mouse if I still have to move my mouse hand. Right? That's asinine. Like, keep it all with my left hand so my right hand can stay on the mouse. Right? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. There's got to be a left-hand side of the keyboard thing I can do, or else it's useless to me. Because I can totally just do Control-C, Control-V over here, just with my left hand. Alright, enough of that complaining. Do that for all the form fields. The syntax is lambda.
Around.
Say again?
I don't know how you move around in the thing. Yeah.
It wasn't immediately apparent to me, but I've literally never used it until just now, so somebody on the chat will tell us like the best way to do it. Alright, so that's a lambda expression. That should be familiar if you've been doing MVC for a while, because they like doing this inside a Razor. They do this all over the place, where you have these empty lambdas referring to a property. But if you've never seen it before, it does look kind of weird. And all this is doing is giving you a strongly typed way to specify this is the property that we're talking about, as opposed to having to put a string in here that was like, quote, name. Alright, so if you want, you can improve the readability of the message by specifying custom ones. For example, instead of displaying the city field is required, you could go and you could say, how do you expect to receive the pizza if we don't even know what city you're in? Nice. And we can put that right inside of the data annotation, and then that'll get used. Let's try that just to see if that works. So we'll go grab that error message, put that on the address here.
And that would be on both server and the client.
Yep. And you can localize these as well, so this doesn't have to be a hard-coded string in my C#. This could be a localized reference. Hey, Ancient Coder, how's it going? Let's try this. And so if I don't put in the city, I should get an ugly, well, a lengthy error message. How about that? So we're here, place another order. Place it, and there it is. There's our error message on the client, just like we put into that shared C# file. So that's pretty cool. Back here, close that. Come back here. All right, better validation UX using built-in input components. User experience is still not great because once the messages are displayed, they remain on the screen until you click place order again, even if you edit the name. Oh, that's true. So how do you expect to do this? I live in Kent. What? It's still there? That's not right. That's horrible. Alright, so we need to make it so on blur or something similar, even on key down, on key up maybe, that it'll do it. So they've done this for us. We don't have to figure it out.
Right.
So let's see how they do it. Try it out, see how it feels. Pretty basic. To improve this, replace the low-level HTML inputs with Blazor's built-in input components. So we aren't going to use HTML directly. We're going to use these Blazor components instead. And so instead of an input type equals text, we're going to use an input text component that ships with Blazor. They also receive notifications from edit context, so they can highlight themselves as either valid or invalid as the user edits them. All right. Last chance. Any volunteers to fix the thing?
As the user.
Kramer, can you take care of that one?
I'll do it.
I'll just keep going. All right. Go back to address editor, Razor again. Replace all the inputs with input text accordingly. For example, like this one. So let's go find the editor, and let's find our input text for name. It looks like that, and we'll make it look like that. And if we highlight the actual line, then we don't have to deal with that carriage return problem. So we'll highlight the line for each one of these, and I'll come back and fix the property names in a second. And then we'll do this and do that. Now if anybody has an easier way to do this, I would be open to it. Maybe I should just create a component for edit or I don't know, a component that combines these two things together, then I wouldn't have to duplicate this, and I could just be like, valid input text, you know, for this property. I should do that.
How about you do? Have you used HTML tags in MVC?
HTML no, I've used tag helpers.
No, so there's a library called HTML tags out there, and that's what I'm working on. So there's a blog post coming that's going to call. I just have a form block, so I create a form block for, and then I pass in the expression for the item you want to show. If it's a string, I want to create the same kind of input text every time, right? So I just do them just like you said. So form block for address name, form block for address line, form block for, and it'll put all of that stuff that you've got there in one.
This whole thing.
One go. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we should have here. This just has too much duplication.
But it's a little bit tricky because you have to write a component that does binding, and so it's a little bit tricky.
Maybe we'll get to that. All right. So we're gonna test this out, and it should look like that. So let's go. Let's do this, and that, and that, and that, and that. Sweet.
Yay! Green.
Yay! We placed the order. All right, that works.
All right. Green. So we almost got this part. Oh, we got a bonus down here to do now.
Yeah.
They've added a lot to this since I was doing it.
Did you fix that? Did you fix that?
I fixed that
to
one.
the.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
You can do it. All right. So remove them entirely if you wish. Okay. Input text isn't the only one. There's also all these other things. That's great. All right. If you're keen and have the time, you can prevent accidental double submission of the form. Currently, if it takes a while for the form post to reach the server, the user could click submit multiple times and send multiple copies of their order. Everybody's done that before, I'm sure. Try declaring a bool is submitting property. That, when true, results in the place order button being disabled. Remember to set it back to false when the submission is completed. Otherwise, the user might get stuck. Check your solution works. You might want to slow down the server by adding the following line at the top of the place order inside orders controller. And instead of a thread sleep, we're going to do a task delay. So we'll do that first. Orders controller has a post for placing orders. We'll put it right there, so now our orders are slow. That'll let us exhibit the problem.
Yeah, at least see your button's been disabled anyway.
Well, I'll see that it's not disabled. I'll have time to place multiple orders.
Right. For now, and then we're going to fix it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Pizza, thing, order. Place. Oh, your site must not work. I'm placing all these orders. Why is it not working?
Making money, baby. That's what we want. You ordered 27 pizzas, right? $3,000, please.
Yeah, I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are preparing. Like, oops, we're gonna have leftovers.
Yeah, pizza all week.
All right, so try a bool is submitting property and true when place order buttons. All right, so let's try this. Address editor. That's not what the place order is. It's
we have a method on the order state, isn't it?
Right there.
Oh, we're gonna move it to order.
State. Yeah, it's still here, right? So
yeah, I guess.
When you call place order, I need to put that Boolean property, but the Boolean property should be outside of this method. So here, bool is submitting is a property. It's false, and then here we are doing it. So is submitting equals true. Before we reset the order, or after we place it, we'll set it back to false. Like that, I guess. And we just need to bind the button
to enabled or disabled.
Bind at is submitting. It's not the right syntax. Is submitting.
Well, it's not spelled right, but I don't think that's what you want anyway.
Bind dash. How's bind dash work?
There's new format, so it has to be the event, or the property.
Right. But do I put the property right there? And what is it? Is it style? I don't know what.
Enabled.
Oh, you would just do it directly to enabled. So it'd be at bind enabled equal at is submitting. Like that? I think that's all the syntax is. That looks right.
That's what I would have gone with.
But that's not liking it. Attribute names can be inferred from the bind. Bind attribute form bind value along the corresponding optional parameter. Bind value event,
because
format.
Is submitting as a bool and bind.enabled. What does it think that is? It has to be a bool, right?
You would think. Bind value colon. So maybe it's bind value colon enabled. But this only gives me events and format. What is format?
That's not it.
Maybe it's not bind at all. Maybe it's just, maybe we're overthinking it. Or maybe it's just at, no, enabled equal at.
Yeah, just do that.
At is submitting. That's all we need. We don't need to bind it.
Yeah, we don't need to bind it. We can't bind, there's no, how do you enter enabled anyway, right?
Right.
You don't change enabled.
And this should be not, but it's not going to let me do that. Right? I want it to be the opposite of this, so I guess I need just parens. Like that?
Yep.
There we go. Should work. That's our first time we had to go off script, right, with this extra credit stuff. Let's try this, let's try that, let's order that, let's do that, let's get a valid address, place it some more. I don't know, it seems like
is
it's
it
still
enabled or not?
We'll find out.
Should have grayed out or something, right? I mean,
Yeah, it still went. It still did the same behavior.
Oh, that didn't work.
I redeployed it.
We failed.
Right?
We failed our extra credit.
I guess. Well, we're not done yet, but.
But the button didn't show as disabled.
Button didn't show.
Right?
No, it definitely did not show as disabled. I don't know what it'll look like if it's disabled. Let's.
Yeah, I don't know what the styles look like, but we could F12 it inside it, and then
that's what I'm about to do. Alright, so now let's inspect this.
Well, let's just do it before we place an order and just set it enabled to false.
When it's not enabled, what is it? That?
Let's see, equals false. Yeah, I think so.
It doesn't work.
Yep.
It didn't do anything.
Well, isn't that how you're supposed to do it? It's HTML5, right? That's how you disable a button in HTML5. Enable a button with an input tag binding.
It's much lighter when it's disabled, he says. Disabled equals disabled. There is no disabled attribute for hyperlinks. If you want something to be linked, then you'll need to remove the a tag altogether or remove its href. Really?
No, that's not the link though. We're not on a link. We're on a button.
Class. No, we're not. We're on a button. Oh, we. Yeah, sorry.
Aren't we on a button?
You're right. All right. Okay. Disable. I forgot we were doing that other thing where we replaced the button with a link, and I was thinking it was that.
Oh. Maybe it's disabled. It's not enabled.
Button
it's a disabled property.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dot disabled. Oh. That makes it easier. Then we don't have to knot it, right?
Yeah,
so
we don't have. Yeah.
Disabled equals at.
But didn't it have an enabled property? Enabled property popped up there, didn't it?
It did because we put it there. Right.
I'm saying.
We added that. It'll show anything we add.
Well, but your IntelliSense before you added it, didn't it pop up with enabled as an option?
No.
Oh, so we typed it. You typed too fast. That's the problem.
That's right.
I don't code anything without IntelliSense. It tells me what to do. So have you been using the IntelliCode?
No.
Yeah, it's going to get better and better.
Hey, now it's lighter.
There
I
it
can't
goes.
click it.
Yeah, okay. Extra credit.
Only
Yay.
one. All right.
Only.
There can be only one.
See, you are hip.
Yeah. How old is that movie?
It could be only one. I don't know. I've got a video of my niece, my niece's kid. So what does that make her? Like my great niece or something like that?
It's the late '80s. Yeah, '86. It's not a new movie. Sean Connery is a Spaniard. It's awesome. It was so old. All right, we're doing authentication now. Where are we at? We spent about an hour on that last one. I don't know if we'll get through all of these.
Authentication is the good part. That's the one, because that's new. That's new from when I did this, so I haven't got to see the new.
Only two contributors. Only 2 people. So we could, if you get a pull request, you'll be one of these few people that are doing this one. All right, the app is working well. Users can place orders, track their order status. There's one little problem. Currently, we don't distinguish between users at all. The My Orders page lists all orders placed by all users. So the person that was asking, like, how long would this take for, you to build a site like this? Well, if you don't include authentication and you're okay with all users seeing everything, it takes less time, but it's not as good. So here we go.
But they give this workshop as a 2-day workshop with a scripted already done. So I mean, and the guys who wrote this know it inside and out. Right, and there's a handful of CSS already provided for you. So I mean, this is. I'm guessing that even the good guys took them 2 weeks to build this demo.
Oh yeah, especially having to write all these scripts and everything. That takes a long time, and having to have all the different start points and everything. Because the thing with doing this in a stages that have a bunch of start and end points is if you make any kind of mistake early on and you change it, you have to apply that change to every future step that you already had done. So building these things is no joke. They take a lot of time. I do a similar workshop to this one. It's a 2-day workshop, and it's a big pain to make updates to it. Hey Frank S, how's it going? Alright, so we're going to do authentication so that we know who the user is. Then we're going to implement authorization, which will let us decide what rules there are in place to say who can do what. We're going to enforce this on the server because that's the only place we can do anything really securely. Anything we do on the client can get hacked, and people can use Postman and other tools to bypass it. Malicious users can always change the behavior of client-side code. So we're going to start by enforcing some access rules on the server before the client knows about them. So inside of Pizza Server Project, we're going to go into Orders Controller, and we're going to say that we would put the authorized attribute on it. So all requests must come from a user who we know who they are. Authorized attribute, probably you're already familiar with. It's just a standard ASP.NET Core thing. It's been around since even ASP.NET MVC. So let's go to this orders controller on the server. So we're in blazingpizza.server, orders controller. Notice that they don't bother with like a controllers folder here. You totally don't need one. So they're just throwing stuff in here. It makes it a little cleaner, and they don't have as many folders. If they had like a bunch of view models and stuff that went with this, I could see them putting those in a shared feature folder or something. Like orders could be its own folder, and it would have the orders controller and the order view model or API model. But all our models are in this shared folder, so we don't need to do that even. So basically, the only thing in here is the controllers plus the database, which you wouldn't have in a real app, and the seed data method, which you wouldn't have in a real app. So basically, you'd have startup and your controllers on the server. That's your API project.
But they are doing something very, very bad, and that is I believe your entities are your models, and that's just a bad thing to do. Yeah,
if they're doing that, we should probably address that. All right, I'm going to get rid of this delay because we don't need that anymore. But yes, you're right. Like this, if that's their entity that they're passing around, then that's probably not ideal. Will Blazor actually make learning JavaScript obsolete?
I don't see any others. No, it won't. Not anytime soon. But
not entirely, but it should make it way less necessary, right? Like we can build most of this app without knowing anything about JavaScript. We're going to use some JavaScript components here. Like eventually there's going to be a map that's going to run on there, and we're going to talk to an existing JavaScript map utility to do that, or library that will do that. And so we'll need to do some bridge code that talks from Blazor to JavaScript. But Kramer, you'd agree it dramatically reduces how much JavaScript you have to know, right?
Absolutely, that's the beauty of it, right?
So
yeah.
So it won't make it obsolete, but like if you think about building iPhone apps with Xamarin, and Xamarin, I don't know if you know Xamarin, but Xamarin lets you build most of your stuff in C# and in something like XAML typically. And instead of building it in Swift or Objective-C for iOS, you build like 80 or 90% of the UI and the business rules and the data access and the network stack and all that inside C# code. And then you still have to know a little bit of code to get the view done in that scenario. Blazor is similar to that in my opinion, but even takes it to the next level, right? Because like you don't have to do anything in the HTML JavaScript world really. Well, HTML I guess you can't get away from. Like that's still inside
Right.
the Razor files, but you don't have to write any JavaScript, right? You could do everything with just @code blocks to do all of your dynamic behavior in the client.
Yeah, I had to add some JavaScript to the prevent default this week. Mr. Magoo, thanks for the help. Because it's not implemented in Blazor yet, but it's coming. It's going to be in preview 8, I believe. But so I mean, you still have to do a little bit, but the whole point is to get rid of it. And the further down we go, it will be gone.
SMAB UK.
But the beauty is you can still use it, though. That's nice because I mean, let's say there's a web component out there. That's JavaScript component. You can pull it in and talk to it. I'm using it on the cryptocurrency. We're using an Edge browser or an Edge wallet authentication piece, and I pull that in through JavaScript interop entirely. So it's highly flexible.
Cool. All right, SMAB UK is saying that the one thing this workshop lacks is good separation architecturally on the server side, and so that's something where if you're building this as a real application that was going to be maintained for a long time, there's some additional work you might do to re-architect this to split it up a little bit better. If you're interested in that, if you want to see what that would look like, I'll let you give your plug in a sec, Kramer. eShop on Web is a good place to start for like how you would break up a server-side ASP.NET Core app into things like core, infrastructure, and web. And if you want like a starting point to build apps like this, you can also look at my Clean Architecture GitHub repo, and it's laid out basically the same way with core, infrastructure, and web. But this is meant to be like a solution template, so you can just clone this Clean Architecture solution and then just rename it and go from there. And there's even a solution project template in Visual Studio you can grab. So just follow this link, install this extension, and then you can just do File, New Project, Clean Architecture, and boom, you've got it set up. What have you got, Kramer?
Just gonna say the Blazor template that I have.
Oh yeah,
has a pretty decent.
Right, and you got that right there. Copy link.
I just threw it in the link, yeah.
Yeah, so that's this. So you can install these Blazor templates. And why would we want to use your Blazor templates instead of the built-in one? What do they have?
Well, it has integration tests built into it, and end-to-end tests with Selenium. It has Blazor State, so state management's already integrated as well. And the server side, Fluent validation. Do I have an example of Fluent validation? I don't, but all of the mediator commands are done on the server side as well as the client. So separation of concerns is cleaner.
All right, cool. I would lead with that. Like somewhere on this thing where you're talking about this, you need to say like, why do I want this? Like right at the top, like list the benefits, list what you get. Because if you post this link that you just had and it goes to the overview that isn't this but is this, there's nothing here. There's nothing here that says why I want to use this.
Yeah. So well, I have another page coming for just the template itself. This is actually the explaining what's in the template from the Blazor State side. But yep, I have a presentation on that Blazor State too. What problems does it solve? That I got to get out.
All right. Apparently, I'm in the wrong browser. There we go. Back to this browser. Enforcement's on the server. We're going to add authorized. I just did that. It's located in this namespace you'll have to add. I did that too. If you try to run your app now, you'll find that you can no longer place orders because you have to be authenticated and there's no way to authenticate you. So let's verify that. Go in here, run it, do the usual place the order thing. Got to get past our form. And I got rid of the delay, I thought.
Pull up your F12.
Right, thanks. Now it's stuck in that state. Bad. There we go. So it's
There's
trying to
just-
redirect to login, but it didn't even redirect us to login. It redirected... I don't know why it didn't redirect us to login. That's weird. But
You don't have one.
It didn't... Well, there's that. Yeah, it would 404
That's
if
why.
it tried. Okay. If you try and run this, you'll get that, right? Which we got. Cool. Didn't mean to click on that. Okay. Tracking authentication state. The client code needs a way to track whether the user is logged in, and if so, who they are, so it can influence how the UI acts. Blazor has a DI service for this called the authentication state provider. Server-side Blazor comes with a built-in thing that hooks into server-side auth features. Your application runs on the client, so you'll need to implement your own auth state provider to get the login state somehow. To start, create a new class named Server Authentication State Provider in the root of your Blazing Pizza client project. And it's going to look like this. And then register that in startup. Alright. Server Authentication State Provider in the root of the client. Here's the client. Here's
Seems
the
like a little
root.
weird spot to put it, but
This will do add. Here's where your little Shift F2 thing would be nice. And it's the server authentication state provider.cs. And we're going to do that. Server authentication state provider. It looks good. Currently it returns fake data. We'll make it better soon.
okay,
Then
let's see, what did it
register
do?
that. Add these auth services. Alright. So in startup, in client, in here, configure services, add those auth things. Alright. To flow the authentication state through your app, you need to add one more component. In AppRaiser, surround the router with a cascading authentication state component. At first this will appear to do nothing, but in fact, this has made available a cascading parameter to all descendant components. A cascading parameter is a parameter that isn't passed down just one level in the hierarchy, but through any number of levels. That's cool. Finally, you're ready to display something in the UI. Okay, so let's see. This was in the app.razor in the router. App.razor, router.
Yep.
That does not look like I copied the right thing.
Yeah.
Right, cool. Keep that. Let's keep going. Displaying, look at this, we're only like a third of the way through this. Displaying login state. Create a new component called login display, put it in shared, and give it this stuff. Login display.razor. So in shared, we're going to add a new razor item, razor view. Oops, no. We're going to add a new item. I guess it's under web. Alright, there we go. Razor view. I've forgotten what it's called. Login display. Login display.razor. Don't forget that. And then Control A, Control V. Boom. Okay.
Format.
That's good. You did it.
Yeah, you got big tabs. You're a four spacer, huh?
Yeah, the default. I don't know. I don't mess with it. I do shrink it down to 2 on like books and stuff, so it'll fit on a page width, but otherwise I leave it alone. Partly because if it's like really nested over deep, I want it to be painful, because it shouldn't be, right? I should refactor it.
Right.
Okay, authorized view is a built-in component. Displays different content depending on whether the user meets specified auth conditions. We didn't specify any of those conditions, so by default, if the user's authorized, they're authenticated. It considers the user authorized if they're logged in, otherwise not. Okay, so it's basically just an anonymous or not thing. You can use authorized view anywhere you need UI content to vary by auth state, such as controlling the visibility of menu entries based on the user role. Okay, we're not really doing that yet, but that's fine. In this case, we're telling it to tell the user who they are and conditionally show either login or logout as applicable. So let's put the login display in the UI somewhere, open main layout, update the div class top bar, and leave that stuff there and throw a login display at the bottom of it. So we're going to main layout and top bar. Main layout, top bar, right there, login display. Okay. Because you're supplying fake login info, the user will appear to be signed in as fake user, and clicking sign out link will not change that. Note that you can still retrieve any order information. The server won't be fooled by the fake. You still cannot retrieve. The server will not be fooled by your fake login stuff. Alright. Didn't like that.
What didn't it like?
That authentication state
Can't
provider.
find it?
Yeah, it's because we called it this server authentication state.
Wait, was that? Okay, so was that another typo?
That's the type. There we go. Just it was a using statement I needed.
Okay. Control dot solution.
It didn't specifically tell us to add the using, but Visual Studio gave me a control dot to do it.
Yeah.
Alright, let's add a margarita pizza of the ginormous size and place the order, and that's all good. But notice up here it now says fake user, and signing out doesn't really do anything. Alright, now we're going to wire this up to Twitter, because why not? So, sign in for real with Twitter. Your application is going to use cookie-based auth. The mechanism is as follows. The client asks the server if the user is logged in. The server says no, and because you don't have a cookie. So the client asks the server to begin the sign-in flow, and the server uses ASP.NET Core's built-in OAuth to redirect to Twitter to log in. You could configure this to work with any other OAuth provider like Google or Facebook. Or you can use Identity Server if you want to have your own single sign-on that uses this. Identity Server is a great tool for that. And it's free, although you have to spend some time learning it.
You have to host it somewhere.
And you have to host it somewhere. It's part of your app, right? But you have to host your app somewhere too. So, or I guess it doesn't have to be part of your app. It's part of your company's suite of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
After the user logs in with Twitter or another provider, the server sets an auth cookie, so the subsequent queries in step 1 return that they are authenticated. Client app restarts, this time showing that the user is now logged in. Subsequent endpoints will include the cookie, so the server will be able to authorize. If the client wants the user to log out, it calls an endpoint on the server that will clear that cookie. You'll notice that in login display, the sign in and sign out links take you to server-side endpoints implemented on user controller. Have a look at the code in that controller and see how it uses ASP.NET Core's server-side APIs to handle the redirections. Okay, so let's do that. So let's look at login display. And login display has user sign out and user sign in, which is going to hit user controller here. And user sign in is going to redirect somewhere. And it's going to say if that URI is empty, we're going to redirect to the root. Otherwise, we're going to await a challenge async with the Twitter authentication scheme. And we're going to do a Twitter challenge using OAuth. Sign out is going to call HTTP context sign out async with whatever authentications, well, in this case, our cookie authentication scheme. This is going to clear the cookie and then redirect to the root page. Alright, so we looked at that. What's missing currently is having your client-side app query the server to ask for the current login state. Go back to the state provider and modify its logic as follows. Here we're going to inject an HTTP client. And we're going to call the server to get JSON on user info with the user endpoint. So that's this other endpoint that we see here. It's going to call this method, and it's going to return if they are authenticated. It's going to say here is their name and they are authenticated, or it's going to return a logged out user. Logged out user is just going to say authenticated false. Alright.
So it's returning a user info object.
Right. Which will either have a name and the fact that it's authenticated, or it'll just have an authenticated false. Alright, so we'll just grab this whole class and paste it into our server authentication provider here. And then make sure we can still build. SMAB UK, I do like the idea that they pre-configured a Twitter app config to the workshop ports. Yes, it is nice. We need a namespace for HTTP client. Build that again. Alright. Try it now. Initially, the request to /user will return data saying you're logged out. Then you can sign in. You can sign in with Twitter. Tip: after login, if the flow if after logging in the flow doesn't complete, it probably means your application is running on the wrong port. Change the port to 589 or 590. by editing launch settings.json and try again. So what port am I running on? I seem to be on 589, so I'm good. So let's kill these. Let's run it again, and let's see if I can remember my Twitter password. Right there, we get a sign-in link. It should redirect us to Twitter. And log in. And we'll sign in. And I don't know, let's try again.
Is it username or is it...
That worked. Now let's check my phone for the thing. 686.128. 686.128. Submit. Boom. I'm signed in as Ardalis. Yay.
There you go. Yeah,
And
hey, can you sign out?
And I can sign out. Woohoo! Authentication works.
You should be able to sign back in without going through the Twitter again, maybe.
You're right. Yeah, Twitter's got me authenticated in this browser, so now I'm good there.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Right. So now let's go. For the auth flow to succeed, you must be running on one of these two ports, not any other port. That's because Twitter application ID in app settings development JSON references an application configured with those values. To deploy a real app, you'll need to use Twitter Developer Console, register a new app, get your own ID and secret, and register your own callback URLs. Because the auth state is persisted by the server in a cookie, you can freely reload the page and the browser will stay logged in. You can also click sign out to hit the endpoint and clear the auth cookie and then redirect back. Okay, cool. So in this case, as SmapUK pointed out, they do have a Twitter developer account set up specifically for this workshop, and it has some keys that are in that JSON file. And as long as no developers do anything silly, like DOS something with those keys, it should continue to work. But you can't use those keys for your app for production use. You have to register your own Twitter developer account and get your own keys. And don't check your secret here, this client ID and secret. Don't check those into a settings file into GitHub, right? Don't ever do that. They're only doing that because this is a public workshop. But it's something you should not put in source control.
I wonder if they're running analytics to see how many people are I wonder if that's
worth calling out right here. Like, shouldn't there be a giant note right here that says don't do this in this code? Because people are going to grab this thing and they're be like, oh, I'm going to use this for my storefront, and do their thing, and then suddenly they've got their Twitter secret in source control too. But hey, that's what Microsoft did. It must be a best practice, and bad things will happen.
That'd be a little longer pull request to put in there, but yeah, that might be worth doing.
Yeah, we'll make that an issue for now. So let's do this. We're going to not lose my place because I'm smart like that. We're going to duplicate our tab. We'll run up here. I'm not so smart that I can use a scroll bar. Go over here, and let's see if it's already there. I don't see anything about that.
I doubt it.
No, I don't see it. So we're going to create a new issue and say add warning against storing Twitter API keys and secrets in source files. In this,
have you clicked that related issues beta try it? You see that?
No,
if you click that try it while you're typing in the title, it will automatically search for related issues for you.
That's cool. Kind of like Stack Overflow does.
Yeah.
It sets up Twitter. Okay. In that, it sets up Twitter, but doesn't caution the reader against storing their own Twitter keys in a plain text file that is put in source control. They shouldn't do this in a real app, and the workshop should warn against this practice. Boom. Okay, so we added an issue. We can kill that tab. We're right back to where we were, and because authentication is persisted, you can reload. Did that. All right. Ensure they're logged in before placing an order. Now that you're logged in, you can place orders and see order status, but if you log out and then make another attempt to place an order, bad things will happen, trademark. This server will reject the post request, causing a client-side exception, but the user won't know why. To fix this, let's make the UI prompt the user to log in if necessary as part of placing an order. So in checkout, we need to check if they're authenticated, and instead of just like silently blowing up, we need to say, hey, you need to log in. Checkout page. On an async, check whether they're authenticated, and if they are not, send them off to the login endpoint. And here's this cascading parameter, which we haven't seen before. That's going to be a parameter that can be used by any child component.
Right,
this is
all the way
authentication
down.
state task. And that's kind of cool because it's kind of like inheritance, but implemented in a different way. It's almost like a decorator type of inheritance. You know,
Yeah.
normally you'd have a base class that would have a property that you wanted to have every child have access to.
Right.
Okay, so I don't want that functions thing, but I'll take this on init async, and we're looking for the checkout page component. So the checkout page in the client, here, pages, checkout, code. I don't have it on init async, so I guess that's going to just go up here.
Anywhere.
I'll keep that field at the top. We'll put it right there. So there's our parameter that can go with our other field. And that, and format. There we go.
Format.
That's a little nicer. So what is this doing? Auth state is await authentication state task, which is this thing. If user identity is authenticated, then go ahead and... Wait, if not authenticated, then go ahead and navigate them to user sign-in redirect, come back to checkout. Okay.
So that cascading parameter, they push down, though, you notice, is not actually populated the parameter. It's a task, so you await it.
Right.
Interestingly enough, they didn't pass down the authentication state as the parameter, but a task of.
Right, which means that it doesn't have any overhead unless you actually need it, which is nice.
Right. Right.
It's probably implemented as a lazy, so like the first time you get it, it actually gets it, but after that it already has it. If it's not implemented as a lazy, it should be.
Yeah, I'm guessing it would be. Why not?
Yeah.
A little free caching.
Exactly. Alright, try it out. Now if you're logged out and go to the checkout screen, you'll be redirected to log in. The value for cascading parameter comes from your state provider via cascading authentication you added earlier. But do you notice something a bit awkward about it? It still shows the checkout UI briefly before the browser loads the Twitter login page. So we need to hide that view. All right. So let's
so that's that
play with
authorization view.
All right, we're not up to the authorization view yet, but let's take a look at this. We can grab a buffalo chicken pizza and add it to our order and place the order. Give it some info. And I gotta be signed out for this to work. Oops.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, this is working?
Yeah, okay.
There it
So it popped and then it redirected. Cool. Okay. So now, get rid of the old tab over here. We're gonna go into our checkout.razor and we're gonna add an authorized view. And if you're not authorized, we're gonna say see ya. Otherwise, we're gonna do everything else. So inside div main, we're adding all this. So in checkout razor, div main, there's the thing, and everything else goes in that spot there. So that's all this. Pops out of there, and then goes into there. Front-end development is just like a skill of knowing where to put things in between other things inside of angle brackets. There we go. It's not a skill I necessarily have in spades. But I got it right, I think. Alright, so that's good. We can get rid of that. Everything seems indented properly. Cool. Alright. And with that, that's
every
better.
line changed. He thought it was indented properly. You formatted every line changed.
Yeah, it pulled everything to the left. Alright, let's see if that made a difference. I don't know why this one's underscore green. Not a valid attribute.
It's just recommending.
It's lying.
Oh.
It's saying that that's not good, but
no, it is. It's not. No, capital I.
It works. It works.
It works because we checked it.
I know.
No. You pasted the whole thing back in. Maybe it doesn't work.
Oh, you're right. No, I didn't. I copied mine. I didn't paste over that. Because I pasted it. I still saw it redirect. But okay. It only redirected to Twitter. It didn't redirect here. So I guess it's doing what it's supposed to. Maybe. Let's try it again. Sign out.
Because you'd have to like clear your Twitter account to actually see where it went, right?
Ancient coder. I use Control K D. Control KD will do it. That's the reformat. Alright, so let's go here and like if I come in here and I tab this like that and I do Control KD, just holding down Control, it'll reformat everything to indent it. Alright, you get the awkward appearance of the UI, you can possibly click place order, okay. Alright, preserving order state across the redirection flow. We've just introduced a pretty serious defect. Since you're building a client-side SPA, the application state is held in browser memory. When you redirect away, that state is thrown away, and when you redirect it back, their order is empty. Yeah, I just noticed that. Check that you can produce the bug. Start out logged out, build an order, be all happy with it, then go log in, and watch it all go to nothing. Don't you love it when you're on somebody's website and, like,
Yeah.
it says, oh, your session timed out, sorry, pff, oh, your work is all gone. You're like, oh, great, thanks. So we're going to add that, we're going to add this, we're going to add some things to it. I'm going to say we really want, you know, some lobster on top, add that, $80 pizza, and we're going to order it, and we're going to do this. And
Only
this.
in the UK.
Wait, shoot, when I signed out, I lost my pizza, no. Horrible. Alright, I'm ordering from Papa John's, Little Caesars, Pizza Hut, somebody else. Alright, so yes, we reproduced the bug. It doesn't just happen if you're logged out and logged in. If you're logged in and then you log out, it also does it. Any combination of those is going to nuke it. Okay, this is a common concern with browser-based SPAs, but fortunately there are straightforward solutions. We'll fix the bug by persisting the order state into local storage. Local storage is a JavaScript API that we can get to through JavaScript interop. So if you had questions like, do I never have to write JavaScript again? No, you have to write a little bit of JavaScript, but not very much.
A lot less.
Yeah, a lot less. And in this case, it's through a wrapper, right? So we're going to have this interface called IJS runtime. It's an abstraction over JavaScript so that we can reach out into the JavaScript APIs from our Blazor code. So we're going to inject this into checkout.razor. So we'll grab that. Come back to checkout.razor and paste that in. Look at all these injects we're getting. I used to think injects in Razor in views were like a code smell, but in Blazor you've got them all over the place. Hopefully they'll have like a code behind mechanism so that we can have all this stuff live in a separate code behind file, because I think I'd rather have that separate.
Preview 7, which the next one in about 2 weeks, I'm guessing. I didn't look at the goals that may already exist. The partial classes is how they're going to build the whole thing.
Okay. I mean, I expect that's coming. I haven't kept up with the latest and greatest, but I'm looking forward to that if and when it comes. All right, on init async, add the following line just above your helper.navigate to. So right before we navigate them away, we're going to store their state. So here's our navigate to. So right here, save their order into local storage. One line of code. It's pretty easy. Local storage, set async, use the runtime. Here's the name we're going to use for it, and here's the contents. Notice that we don't have to deal with any of the serialization, like convert to JSON or whatnot. It takes care of that for us. So that's cool. Alright. You'll learn more.
That's new to
You'll learn more about
storage.
JavaScript in the later part, so you don't need to get too deep into it. If you want, you can look at local storage CS in the Blazing Pizza component library and local storage JS. So these are some helpers that are shipping in the workshop, I guess. Maybe they're not part of Blazor. So in our component library, local storage is right here, and it wraps these things that call these guys here. So that's the JavaScript equivalent. And where's the JavaScript equivalent? Is that in www-root on the server? Or no, in the client?
In the client.
No.
Yeah, Java, maybe.
Let's just search for it. What are we looking for?
Yeah, just do control
local
question
storage.
mark and local storage.js, I think he said.
It's in www-root of component library.
Oh, component library.
That makes sense. Local storage get says there's our JSON parse and JSON stringify doing it for us. And this all just runs in the client. Okay, obviously it's JavaScript. Alright, so there's local storage. Now that you've done this, the current order state will be persisted in JSON in local storage right before the redirect. You can see the data by looking at the console and typing local storage. So let's verify that. We'll go here, build the thing, hope it runs. There it goes. We take this, Blazor local storage. All right. Add that.
That's
Hit F12 and sign in and redirect right back, and it's gone because we haven't read it back from local storage. Maybe that's still to be done. So if we go here,
yeah, I don't think we set it up.
Storage. I thought I did it. Maybe I didn't do it. I did write that. That's supposed to do it, right?
That was we're calling the C# class. It says set async, and we await it. So yeah.
So if I'm not signed in, I come in here, I add an order, I place the order, it redirects me. Now I'm here. I go. My order's blank.
It's gone.
It's gone. I come over here and I say local storage. It's there. Right, it is there. So it did store.
It wasn't there before.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
I think I did a different.
You had to refresh
sequence.
the page.
I did a different sequence before. I think I went from signed in to signed out, and this is from signed out to signed in.
Oh, okay.
So I think if you're signed in, you mess around with
That
your
makes
order and you
sense.
sign out, it blows away your order. But that's probably what you want, right?
Yes.
Because when you're signing out of something, you expect it to blow away your state. So that's okay. Okay, so we saw that. That worked. It's still not quite enough because even though you're saving the data, you're not loading it when the user returns to the app. Right. So add the following logic at the bottom of on init async. Try and recover a temporary saved order. On init async, checkout razor. On init async. Here. Bottom. Here. Like that. Boom. Alright, so what's this doing? This says your saved order is go get the order from local storage. If it's not null, that means we actually found one. We're going to replace the order with the saved order. That's not a thing yet, so we're going to have to write that code. And then delete it out of local storage because we don't need it there anymore. Otherwise, just chill out. Don't do anything. Not sure why we even need to do this. I don't know why we need that at all. Can this else block disappear? I wonder why that needs to do anything.
Well, where are you going to be?
I think what this is doing, this is to re-render the page. This is how they're making the page re-render.
That'll just go to the root. It'll just go to the home page inside the client. It won't re-render. It won't reload the spa or anything like that.
I know why it's doing this. Yeah, it's doing this because if we don't have an order, there's no reason to be on the checkout page.
Yeah, it's like go back to the beginning where you're going to start an order.
Got it. Yep. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so we need that replace order code, don't we? Yeah, here it is. You also need to add this to order state, replace order with that order.
It's pretty simple.
Yep. So kill that, go to order state, and add a method. Like that. Alright, let's try it. So the behavior we expect is that we start out signed out, we create an order, we sign in, order's still there. So we need to be signed out. We're signed out. We go in here, we add an order, place the order, redirects, comes in, comes back, and there's still our order ready to go. So that works. Good.
Not bad.
If you're
Almost
signed
done
out,
this page, right?
we're getting there. And we still got time left. We might get through another one of these if they're not too long. If you are signed out and you visit My Orders, the server will reject the request, causing a client-side exception. Try it and see. All right, try it and see. We're here. Sign out. Go to My Orders. Loading. Oh, look at that. There's a client-side exception. All right. Okay.
Yeah, ugly.
Cool. So what are we going to do about that? There are 3 basic ways to interact inside of components. Right. First one is use authorized view. This is useful if you just need to vary some UI according to who's authorized or not. You can also use your cascading parameter to receive it. This is useful if you want to use the authentication state in something like an event handler. The third way is you can place an authorized attribute on the routable app page component. This is useful if you want to control the reachability of an entire page. So this is actually kind of cool. This is new.
Yeah, that's nice.
Razor Pages, I don't believe supports this yet, but it would be really nice if it did. And if they've added it and I missed it, I apologize. But Razor Pages, the way you have to control authentication for those on the server is inside your startup.cs. When you configure them inside configure services, you need to say this page is requires authentication and this one is allow anonymous, etc. You have to do it all in code inside of configure services. being able to add attributes using this attribute directive is, I think, new for Blazor. So
Oh yeah,
we
all
want to
the
go
authorization scenario is new.
well, I think it's new,
In
like,
preview 6.
I don't even think it was in Razor pages before. Like they're gonna,
Oh, no.
I think
Yeah,
they're gonna
I get you.
backport this attribute thing. I think they're gonna backport that to Razor pages. I would guess. Okay, so we add this attribute authorized to the thing. Now logged in users can reach it, but logged out users will see a not authorized instead. Verify that you can see this working. All right, let's try it. Control F5.
That's pretty easy to just say, hey, this route doesn't exist anymore unless you're logged in, right? I mean, how much?
My orders, not authorized. It's very pretty. Come back here, sign in. I don't think I have any orders, but oh, I do. There we go.
100 of them, I think, because we ordered like 6 at a time before we fixed it.
We did, but that was before we had authentication. So I was saying I don't have any orders because Ardalis didn't place any of these orders. This is still showing all orders. It's not showing my orders.
Yeah,
we have not implemented that yet.
Right.
All right. Back to here. Finally, let's get a bit friendlier to the logged out users. Instead of just saying not authorized, we can customize this to display a link to sign in. Go to App Razor and pass the following parameters to the router.
So you have a not authorized section right upside in the front. So not only the no content found section, but a authorized and an authorizing content section. Nice.
Yeah, it's weird that this content is not its own component, but it's a cascading state that's being passed in.
No. The cascading authentication state has nothing to. That's just saying that everybody underneath me is going to get this state that component provides. So that non-authorized content is a special component. But I'm saying whatever you put inside there could be. You could pull that div out and make it its own component.
Sure. But yeah, but this being shared through this mechanism is different to me, as opposed to it being a separate component that you would just pass in. Alright, not authorized content goes into app.razor. Okay, so app.razor is in my root. Right now it just has this router has not found content. Now we're going to give it not authorized content, and we're going to give it authorized content of just this placeholder.
Yeah, so while it's waiting on Twitter, which is like a microsecond, it should say please wait.
Usually, now. Used to be Twitter was slow, but now their architecture's gotten much better. Now if you're logged out and try to go to my orders, you'll get a much nicer outcome. Let's verify that. Run it.
Notice that all the CSS to make this thing pretty is done for you already sitting over there. You wouldn't get that pretty of an outcome just by putting that stuff in there without any CSS.
It works. It's amazing. We can follow a script. Alright.
A lot better than we can write analyzers.
Now, if you directly browse to myorders/1 while signed out, you'll get a strange error message. That's not very strange.
Yeah.
My orders, track that order. Alright, so I'm going to copy that, sign out, come back, paste it in. Nope, that's not strange. That's a perfectly good error message. I know what you're talking about. Strange message. Alright. Once again, this is because the server is rejecting the query. You can fix this, just use authorize on the order details in the same way you did on the other one. Alright, so.
And then, if not authorized, it'll automatically show us that not authorized page again.
Yeah, it'll invite us to log in. Alright, so Control F5. I thought I did Control F5. I know I hit it.
I heard it.
Oh, like, I'm not quiet. Ka-chunk. There we go. Not signed in. Let's try this Windows paste thing, because it's in there. There we go.
There.
It didn't work. Let's try this again. Let's see. That one.
Why didn't it work?
Enter.
There.
Because it really wants me to use my right hand. Okay, it worked. I don't know. Alright. That did what we expected.
Okay.
We're back here, authorizing access to specific order details. Right, because we need to know who the user is, which I already lamented that it's not just showing me my orders. So, requires auth before accepting orders. It still doesn't distinguish between users. It's probably not ideal. So, all signed-in users can see all the orders from all the other signed-in users. We need authorization. To verify this, place an order while signed in with one Twitter account, sign out and back in with a different... Yeah, because, you know, we all have 2 Twitter accounts, right? I have like 5, but I don't think most people have multiple Twitter accounts. You'll still be able to see the same order details. This is easily fixed. Back in the orders controller code, look for the commented outline and place order, and uncomment it. All right. So they've already got this code.
So that's how we do this, right? Normal, we just go look for uncommented code.
That's right. That's all I do at work. You know, production code. It's like,
just uncomment that line.
Place order. Yeah. It's just a workshop. Orders controller. Place order. Right there.
There it is.
Get user ID. Magic happens here. Let's go see what this does. Go to definition. This will be the user's Twitter username. Context. HTTP context user.find first. What is that?
The claim out of there.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Interesting. Okay. It's a weird UI to get it, or not UI. Weird API to get that.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Now each order will be stamped with the ID of the user who owns it. So this affects when we place the order. We still need to use a filter when we fetch the orders. So look for the commented out where lines in get orders and get order with status, and uncomment those. Those are also in the order controller. All right.
So now your list will go blank,
order
right?
With status. Right. It should.
Or however many we order.
Where this really ought to be.
Oh, it should go blank because we've never set the order before. So yeah.
I don't like having these 2 where clauses.
Why?
I don't know. It seems cleaner. It should build the SQL for it just the same either way, but
it should be identical. Yeah, I would think. I think it should.
Because you don't have 2 where clauses in a SQL statement, right? You don't say where foo equals bar, where bar equals something else.
Includes.
Yeah, I'm okay with those. You can't do an and on an include. Right? I have to do it this way.
Yeah.
There's no way to do it in one expression. Alright, so rebuild. And then we should see my orders should be blank, or maybe I've ordered one thing while we've been testing this, but it should not have.
No, you didn't set the ID
bunch.
before, so.
Oh, that's true.
It has to be blank.
It still wouldn't have my ID, right? So we'll add this pizza, we'll order it, we'll put some stuff in here. Place
Most popular address, planet.
Pizza, go to my orders. Look, now there's just my orders. And if we look at the data for this, can we see the data for this?
I don't know why not.
Alright, where's the call to orders? Right there. So this is going to have my username on it? It does. So there's our user ID Ardalis right there. So that's cool. Alright, so we know that's working. And I think that takes us down to the end. If you run the app, you'll no longer be able to see all the existing orders. If you place a new order with one Twitter account, you won't be able to see it from a different one. Good. So let's talk JavaScript interop. This is a lot shorter. That's good. So we should be able to get through this. I don't know if we'll get through 7, 8, and 9. Probably not. But we should at least be able to get through 7 here before I have to go. Okay, so let's start section 7. JavaScript interop. Users of the pizza store can now track the status in real time, but in this session we're going to use JavaScript to add a real-time map to the order status page that answers the age-old question, where's my pizza? Included in the components, the library project is a pre-built map component for displaying the location of a set of markers and animating their movements over time. We'll use this component to show the location of the user's pizza order as they are being delivered by drone flying through the air as the crow flies. First, let's look at how the map component is implemented. Open map.razor and take a look at the code. I don't need to, you got it right here. Okay, so we're going to have a div with the element ID. We're going to have some functions like map dash whatever the GUID is for some string, converted to some string. We're going to have parameters for zoom and a list of markers that we're going to put on the map.
What's the D? What's the D format on that? I don't know what that is.
It's a GUID string format that's going to probably be whatever JavaScript expects. So GUID, toString, D format. Uh, D is 32 digits separated by hyphens, so it's going to look like that.
And what's the default? Isn't that the default has the brackets around it, I think.
I don't know. What is the default? Format, D is used. If format is null or empty, D is used. So it's probably not necessary.
Okay, so it is the default, right.
Being specific. Ninja Bunny 9000, that's an awesome name. Thanks for the follow.
How did you know Ninja Bunny was in the room?
Well, they don't appear to be in the room. They probably aren't listening to me right now because they aren't in the room. But they followed nonetheless, so I called them out.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they'll watch it later. But that's the stream labels. Do you use this?
Yeah, I was just saying if they're ninja, you wouldn't know they were there, right?
Oh, you're going off the ninja thing. Okay. I was going off the fact that I didn't see them in the chat, but there they are in the chat. They were hiding in the chat. Now they're there.
Yeah. Okay.
And now they're chatting. They've got a 19 TwitchCon North America 2019. Sweet. I've not seen that before. All right. Yeah, so that's what the component has, and then this on after render async basically just calls the map and updates it and passes it in the new markers. So that's all this does. It calls some JavaScript that says, hey, you've got these markers, update them with these new locations. So it's going to move the markers around on the map. Alright, so the map component dependency injects are IJS runtime instance, which we already saw. Service can be used to make JavaScript calls to browser APIs. The first parameter is specifying the path of the JavaScript function. The remaining parameters are arguments to pass into that function. They're all serialized to JSON, so JavaScript can handle them. The map component renders a div with a unique ID for the map, and then calls show or update function to display the map in a specified element with specified markers. Pass, that should be passed, right? Shouldn't it? Let's read this.
Specified markers pass.
With the specified markers pass to. That should be passed. Passed. Got into work and saw you were live on the team. Want to make sure I followed. Have a great stream. Thanks, Ninja Bunny. Cool. That should be passed. Passed to the map component. This is done in the on after render async. You want to get that, Kramer?
Yeah, I get it.
Component lifecycle event to ensure the component is done rendering its markup. The delivery of show or update function is defined in the content delivery map.js file, which then uses leaflet.js and OpenStreetMap to display the map. The details of how this works is not really important. The critical point is that we can call JavaScript. So how do these files make their way to the Blazor app? If you peek inside the project file for the component library, you'll see the files in the component in the content directory are built as embedded resources, which means they're going to go into the assembly that gets compiled. The Blazor build infrastructure then takes care of extracting these resources and making them available as static assets. It probably ought to say what I just said about embedded resources here in the tutorial, because people that are somewhat new to .NET development may have no idea what that means. So an embedded resource is something that when you compile it, it actually goes into the DLL, so it's accessible directly from inside the DLL instead of being in a separate file location.
Or at least make a link. We could make a link to the Microsoft Docs on embedded resources at least. Yeah,
that would be good if you want to add that in your PR. Or another PR. Alright, so when we look at this component library, it was telling us somewhere to say that these are embedded resources. Right? Didn't it say, hey, go check that out? These are embedded resources. Look at the project file. I'm looking at the project file. It doesn't say anything about embedded resources. I look at the individual JavaScript files here, and it doesn't say anything. Like normally this build action would say embedded resource, right? And it's not. It's saying content. Or sorry, the embedded resource right there. And it's saying content. So let me check this. If you peek inside the project file for the component library, you'll see that the files in the content directory are built into the library as embedded resources. No, I'm really not seeing that. Okay, so this is the component library file, right? It can't be a different one. This is the project. There's only 4 projects. That's the component library. You can say edit project file. Here it is. There's nothing about that here. I'm just going to make an issue on that. So let's duplicate this tab, and let's
you could look at the with your What the heck is the thing that lets us see all the source, the final version, to see if it's the resources are on the final version anyway? You remember how you said if you change anything in previous version,
Yeah, yeah.
you have to go back and edit? It might be in the final one. They're not there in the
Right.
in this step.
Exactly. Maybe there's something that needs to happen. So in, what are we on, step 7? Step 7 of the workshop, it says, quote, that. But if you look at the project file, there's nothing there about embedded resources, he said by showing them a screenshot. No, that won't work. Let's do a snip. Snip. Mode. Freeform. Grab. That's not what I want. No, no, no. Rectangle. Go. Freeform snips are weird. Copy that. And GitHub's nice because it supports direct copy paste into issues. So we'll just do that and submit the issue. Boom. Okay. And hopefully there's nothing here I'm missing that's saying it's an embedded resource, right? So that looks good.
If you right click on the properties.
None of them showed it.
Oh, they won't show, right?
They all just said content. All right. So we'll let somebody else look at that. That could just be, like we said, a versioning thing where it gets done in a later part of the workshop. Blazor build infrastructure takes care of extracting these. That's right. If you start typing map, you'll notice the editor doesn't offer completion. This is because the binding between elements and components is governed by C# namespace binding rules. The map component is defined in the components library map namespace, which we don't have a using for. Where would I start typing map? Like, if I start typing map, where? I don't know. This instruction set's not thrilling me. I don't necessarily want to add another issue, but I don't know where they're saying I should do this. Add a using for this namespace to the root imports.razor. Okay, that sounds good. So we'll add that. I know where to do that. That instruction I can follow. So over here, imports.razor, drop this right there. Boom, done. Alright. Add the map component to the order details page by adding the following just below the track order details div. Bam. Okay. Go to the order details page and track order details div. There. There. Right? I think that's where they want it. Just below, yeah. The reason why we haven't needed to add the usings for our components before now is that our root imports razor already contains the shared, which matches the reusable components we've written. And that's good to know. It's a good note. Good job. When the order details component pulls the order status updates, an update set of markers is returned with the latest location of the pizzas, which then gets reflected on the map. Here's a nice animated GIF showing it to you. Add a confirm prompt for deleting pizzas. JavaScript interrupt code for the map was provided to you. Next, you'll add some JavaScript interrupt code of your own. It would be a shame if users accidentally deleted pizzas from their order. Let's add a confirm when they try and delete. We'll show the confirm prompt.
Yeah, because you don't want them to take money out of your hands.
Right. We'll show the confirm prompt using a JavaScript interrupt. Add a static JS runtime extension class to the client project so that'll let us easily do confirm anywhere we want. So we'll take this, JS runtime extensions. Let's put that in the root of this. Do that. Control dot. Move it to its own file. And you're going to want some using statements. There you go. You want that. You want that. Now you're happy. Okay. Inject the IGS runtime service into the index component. So we need that. Let's go to index under pages. Index. There we go. Done. Add an async remove pizza method to the index component that calls the confirm method to verify if the user really wants to remove the pizza before calling the other thing. So async task remove pizza. Goes somewhere in here. It is on index, right? I guess.
Where did they say those resources were supposed to be? Which project were they supposed to be in? They would have been in...
The component one. They were talking about the components library. You're still trying to find the embedded resource stuff?
I'm just looking. I just finished that PR and found a decent link to the resource pages.
Okay, good.
And I was trying to see if they had it in the final one, if they had some resources in here.
Do you want to remove from the order? Yes, okay, then call that. Alright, in the index component, update the event handler for the configured pizza items. Configured pizza items. I don't know where that is.
Okay, sorry. I'll come back to you here.
Oh, it's there. No, that's that. Alright, so
What are we asking?
we're trying to remove pizzas, and when we remove pizzas, we want to have a thing that pops up and says, hey, should we do that? So add that to the index component, and then in the index component, update the event handler for configured pizza items. So for each one of these to call...
Configured pizza items. Just search for that guy right there, that handle.
I did.
It's in the index page, it said, right?
That's what it said.
Okay, so let's take a look at that. Index page up there. Configured pizza dialog.
Oh, it must be here.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Alright. Just looked different on mine, because it was multiple lines. Okay, got it. So on removed should just be this instead of this. So instead of calling order state directly, we're going to call our own method here because we want to be able to throw some JavaScript on the page here. Cool. Run the app, see if it works. Alright. Who is online that we can raid after we wrap this up here in about 5 minutes? Let's see, we're going to add a pizza, we're going to add another pizza, we're going to get rid of that pizza. Are you sure you want to remove the buffalo chicken pizza? Sure. You sure you want to remove this one? No. Nice, works. Alright, easy.
Yeah.
Okay, notice we didn't have to update the signature of the onRemoved support async. This is another special property of event callback. It supports synchronous and async event handlers. That's nice. I did not notice that, so good to call that out. Next up is templated components. That's a long one. So yeah, we're not going to get into that now, since we're about out of time. So
pretty cool, though.
We will look at, starting on number 8, perhaps next week, if I don't skip next week, because it's the 5th of July and that might be a holiday for me. So, let me see.
So we have 7 done. We have 8 and 9 left to go.
Yep.
9 being deployed to Azure.
Let me go back to... I need my browser. I need the right browser. I have too many tabs. Oh, I closed that browser. That's what happened. There it is. Alright. So let's go over here. And who's live on Twitch that I follow? Or any of those live coders people?
Let's see. Clark.io, Science and Technology is live. Clark.io, that's who you normally raid, isn't it?
It is, but I think we should do somebody else. I think our good friend Snowfrog is still live.
Snowfrog's live. Yeah.
So why don't we help him out? So let's see.
He normally goes before. He goes early in the day. He's late today.
Well, maybe he knew that he might get raided by us if we did that. So Snowfrog is a friend of ours. Kramer and I know him. He's a good guy. He's working through a 100 days code challenge, working on a different code thing each day. He's pretty hardcore. He's on like day 67 or something like that. So let's look. He could use a few more followers. I think he's got 0 people in his room right now. So he'll be excited that if some of you want to hang out and chat with him for a few minutes, see what he's working on, that'd be awesome.
He's going to be doing some TypeScript coding game. I think it says making a 7 Wonders game right now.
Sweet. So, thanks all for viewing. This is going to go up on YouTube in a little bit at /c/Ardalis. And look for me to get through the rest of this workshop the next time I'm on stream, either next week or perhaps the following week. All right. See you later. Thanks, Kramer, for hanging out again today. It was nice.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Get
Bye.
some sleep.
Thanks.
And I'll pop over into Snowfrog's stream as well and see what he's working on for a few minutes. Here we go.